What the Dog Couldn't Take by the Only Nathan. Summary. Ethan was never meant to survive without the spellbook that bound itself to him as a child, but when it vanishes mid-fall in the cliffs of Grimwick, he is left fractured, corrupted, and unraveling from the inside out. The infection spreads through his veins and into his magic, twisting everything it touches. He tells no one, until it's too late. Deep in a cave, far from home, Ethan feels the darkness call to him, and this time, it's not just inside him. When the corruption threatens his friends, when his presence begins to rot even the tools in his hands, it's Andy who stays. Furious, frightened, and all too human, they pull Ethan back every time he falters. But care is its own kind of vulnerability, and love, especially the kind neither of them dares to name, is more dangerous than any magic. The theory is at the end, for anyone who didn't know it yet. Notes: trigger warnings, body horror, magical illness, emotional distress, possession themes, verbal fights, illness, weakness, near-death imagery, mental strain, isolation, minor physical violence. That's a long list. This was written a bit after the 8th episode of p4persmp. Okay, let's go. Now that we have that long list out of the way. Okay. Ethan wasn't supposed to live. His mother had whispered it to the earth when she buried the first twin. His father had whispered it to the hearth fire when he carved Ethan's name into the family altar, and the forest had whispered it back when the green witches of Grimwick pulled a miracle out of rot. They bound a spellbook to him. Not a toy grimoire, not a dusty learner's manual. This was old magic. Bound skin, iron-stitched, bleeding with pulsing green glyphs. It latched to his soul like a parasite, like a cradle. He never knew a world where he breathed without it. The first thing Ethan remembered was ink, and the taste of mint and gravel lichen. Years later, the loss came sudden. It happened halfway down the jagged spine of the Grimwick cliffs, where wind howled like a wounded god, and the rocks below gnashed like teeth waiting to devour him. He was studying his magic again, which he was doing for days now. Rain needled against his cloak, slicking every ledge and foothold into a death trap. The sky above churned, black and furious, the storm breaking open like a curse. Ethan had done it 100 times. The motion was muscle deep now. He flicked his hand, whispered the sigil, and the spellbook at his side responded like breath to lungs, flaring open, alive, with wind-slicked lips that glowed pale and green. A spell to catch them, slow the fall, cradle the descent. But this time, nothing. No warmth, no rush of power, no soft hum of the arcane thread between soul and page. Instead, silence. An emptiness so sudden and absolute, it felt like the world had been turned inside out. And then, pain. The tether snapped like a scream, not heard, but felt, ripping through his ribs, through the scar-deep place where the book had always lived. Ethan gasped. His body went limp midair. Magic fizzled to nothing. Wind punched the breath from his lungs as he plummeted. Not far, not fatal, but enough. Enough to knock him into the mud, knock the world sideways. Enough to sever the only thing keeping him alive. And he found him hours later. The storm had passed, but the sky was still trembling, like it hadn't decided whether to break again. Their boots sank in the sucking mire, torchlight flickering like a heartbeat gone too fast. Ethan lay crumpled at the base of the trail, soaked through, lips tinged blue, eyes glassy, open but not there. His skin looked waxen, almost brittle, like too much porcelain and not enough blood. Then, Andy said, voice too quiet, then louder, Ethan. No answer, not even a flinch. Only when they touched his chest did they feel it, a flutter of breath, a heartbeat like moth wings against bone. faint, weak, alive, but just barely. He woke a day later. Andy had built a fire from half-dry sticks in desperation, camped beside his still form the whole night, jaw clenched tight. When Ethan stirred, a twitch of the hand, a shallow gasp, Andy nearly dropped the cup of bitter leaf tea they'd brewed. "Hey," they said hoarsely. "You're back." Ethan didn't answer. His fingers curled weakly in the blanket. His eyes blinked open, unfocused. Not at Andy. Through them. Past them. Toward the cliffside where the storm had split his soul open. His hands trembled. His ribs ached like something had been torn out. No blood, no wound, but deeper than that. Deeper than flesh. The weight that had always been there. The hum of the spellbook. The tethered magic that clung like a heartbeat of its own. Was gone. Utterly gone. "Ethan?" Andy said softer. Andy said again, softer. "Say something." But he didn't. He just stared. Not at the world, but at the empty space where his magic used to be. He didn't sleep much after that. When he did, he woke gasping. And when he didn't, he sat by the fire with shadows under his eyes, and his hands folded in his lap like they didn't belong to him anymore. The others didn't ask, not at first, but Andy knew something had shifted. Not just in the way Ethan moved slower, or how his skin had gone pale like old wax, or how he spoke less and laughed not at all, but in the silence, in the trembling stillness where there had always been that soft, humming presence of the book, of the magic. Ethan was still alive, but something vital, something sacred, wasn't. The air outside Grimmick had a weight to it now. Fog coiled low along the cracked stone paths of Garridale, weaving through the collapsed archways and half-sullied ruins like it belonged there, like it had never left. The trees were thinner here, bare-boned things with sickly bark, and the ground pulsed faintly beneath Ethan's boots, like something breathed where it shouldn't. He found Deska just beyond the old chapel ruins, where the wall gave way to a broken garden choked in thorn roots and ash. She sat under the twisted silhouette of what might have once been a sycamore, though it was more bone than bark now. Her tools were laid out across a blackened bench, careful, deliberate, like offerings to something she didn't quite trust. She looked up when he approached, not surprised, not smiling. "Can't sleep?" she asked, already knowing the answer. Ethan knelt beside her. "It's not sleep if I wake up worse than before." Didn't think anyone else remembered this place," she said softly. "I didn't," Ethan replied. "I just ended up here." Jessica raised an eyebrow but didn't press. "Garridel does that. Pulls people back when it shouldn't." Ethan sighed and stared at the tree. The ground, his hands, dark-veined and foreign-looking. "I think I'm making everything worse," he said, not looking at her. Jessica set her file down. The silence between them thickened. "How?" "There was this wolfhound on the ridge last week. Sick. But not sick. Just wrong. I didn't touch it. I didn't even go near it. I just looked, Deska." His hands twitched together in his lap, and its eyes went black. It whimpered like he was trying to crawl away from me. "You didn't touch it?" "No, I didn't have to," and it still whimpered like I'd cut it open. He sat now, slow and trembling. "It's me. It's spreading. Through me. The corruption." Deska's breath hitched. She didn't deny it. "Marcy's been watching me like I'm a ghost. He half remembers." "Gods, I fucking hate that," Ethan murmured. "Andy's," he swallowed. "Andy's still here, but I don't know why. I'm pushing them away and they're pushing back harder." Jessica was quiet for a moment. Then again, asked gently, What are you afraid of, Ethan? He laughed bitterly. Everything. Then, more quietly, of hurting someone, of losing myself completely, of looking in the mirror and seeing nothing left. The spellbook was the only thing that kept me balanced, alive, and now it's gone and I'm slipping. I can feel the dark magic threading into everything. It whispers. It wants me. Jessica finally reached out, resting a hand over his, just to comfort. Fingers were warm, his were not. You're not gone yet, she said. I don't care what it's doing to your veins. You're still Ethan. You're still fighting. But for how long? He asked, voice cracking. What if I wake up one day and there's no fight left? What if I touch someone and they rot? What if Andy... They haven't left. Not yet. Jessica met his gaze. And maybe they won't. Maybe they're staying for a reason. Ethan's shoulders sank like the weight had become too much. Or maybe they're too stubborn to let me go out like this. Jessica gave a tired smile. Then maybe that's what you need right now. Someone stubborn enough to fight the dark with you. He didn't respond for a long time, just leaned back against the rotting tree and let the silence sit heavy. The garden around them didn't bloom. Nothing in Garradell bloomed anymore. But for a brief moment, Ethan didn't feel like he was unraveling alone. They sat in silence for a while. Crickets had stopped singing weeks ago. Even the wind seemed cautious now. Finally, he spoke again. But I think I'm making everything worse anyway. Jessica didn't move, but her shoulders tensed. How? She didn't speak, so he went on, quieter. I think I'm the infection. I think it's not the town, not Grimmick, not some creeping thing. I think it's me. Jessica finally turned to look at him, face pale and drawn. And what if it is? His throat tightened. Then I should leave, before I infect someone else, before Andy, before any of you. Fingers brushed his arm. Her hand trembled. She didn't deny it, and that silence screamed louder than any comfort. Jessica's voice came soft. You think you're the monster, but you're not. Ethan, maybe you did get sick from the corruption. Yeah, but that isn't your fault. I think the spell book kept me human, he said, voice cracking. And now it's gone. I can feel the cracks widening. I laugh and it echoes. I bleed and it doesn't stop. I cast and the magic comes back wrong. Like dark. Maybe it is my fault. She nodded slowly, as if she understood more than she wanted to. Marcy keeps watching me like I'm not me anymore, Ethan added, voice barely a whisper. Kind of forgetting he already mentioned that. Like I'm already dead and he's trying to figure out if I was ever real to begin with. What about Andy? Jessica asked, carefully. He hesitated. Andy fights with me. All the time now. I think they're trying to hold on by pushing me away. Or maybe I'm doing that. I don't even know anymore. But they're still here. Jessica met his eyes. Maybe that's something. Like I said before, you need that. Or maybe it's just pity. No, she said, firm. Andy doesn't do pity. They'd sooner burn the world down than lie to your face. Ethan gave a hollow laugh. And I guess they're just too stubborn to leave. But you're right. They do kind of have an ego of saying things that's in their mind. He added, chuckling. But that turned fast into coughing again. She squeezed his arm once. That's a good kind of stubborn, Ethan. But it still means they're standing close to a fire that's growing. Jessica looked down at his hands, dark veined and trembling. Then maybe it's time to figure out how to put the fire out. Ethan stared at the horizon. It was starting to grey with pre-dawn, but it felt no warmer. I don't know if I can, he said. Jessica didn't argue. She just sat beside him, quiet, like maybe that was enough, for now. group went on an adventure again. Always fucking again, getting us half killed, Andy thought within. But eventually they found a cave. A deep, dark cave somewhere deep in the woods. The cave pulsed around like it was breathing. Wet walls slick with lichen. The air, thick and cluttered, pressed in on their lungs. Every step forward sounded wrong. Not echoed, not hollow, just wrong. Like sound itself was trying to escape the place. They'd been down here for days now. Longer than planned. Longer than was sane. And Ethan was unraveling. His skin had gone pale and waxy, like candlelight behind a thin veil. The veins in his arms had turned black, coiling like ivy beneath the surface, twitching sometimes when he thought no one could see. His fingers trembled too much to hold a knife steady anymore, and when he coughed, it was deep and wet and raw, like his lungs were trying to claw their way out. And he pretended not to notice. Pretended, because noticing meant admitting something was wrong, and admitting it meant dealing with the fear that was already eating them alive. But the worst part, was what Ethan had started to suspect, what he'd started to see. The infection wasn't just his, it was spreading. He'd seen it when Andy's blade had clashed against his in a scuffle, a stupid, meaningless fight over a direction. Their hilts had touched, briefly, just metal on metal. Taylor crouched beside a low burning lantern, sharpening their sword. Their eyes flicked towards Ethan more than once. "You're not saying anything," Taylor said finally, voice even. "You haven't been for a while." Ethan didn't look up now. "Not now, Taylor." "Now's the only time we've got," Taylor shot back. "You think we don't notice? The tools, the way the light bends around you, the smell?" I said not now, but Taylor didn't flinch. "It's in you, isn't it?" They weren't accusing, just knowing. The same thing in Grimrick. The rot. That heartbeat. Ethan's shoulders tensed. "What heartbeat?" Marcy asked, blinking toward them. I thought that was just in my head," Marcy whispered that only Taylor could hear. Taylor stood slowly, hand dropping to their sidearm. "No, I hear it too," they'd whisper back. And he froze. "What heartbeat?" The cave pressed in tighter the deeper they went, like the stone itself didn't want them there. The air had weight now, not from stale breath or lack of oxygen, but from something watching. Walls glistening with veins of pitch-colored stone, pulsing faintly with a sick sort of rhythm. Not quite light, not quite movement, just presence. The cave walls were slick with moss, and the air hummed low, like something ancient was breathing just behind the stone. The group had stopped to rest, or argue, depending on perceptive, while Ethan sat slumped near the edge of the tunnel, fingers twitching around the hilt of a knife that had begun to darken with the telltale stain of corruption. Everyone went quiet. Then, from the dark corridor ahead, came the unmistakable sound, slow, heavy, and impossibly deep, like something massive, sleeping just out of sight. Marcy's boots scuffed against a cracked shelf of rock. "Do you—" He paused, cocking his head. "Do you guys hear that?" And he turned, brows furrowed. "Hear what?" Marcy didn't answer at first. He just stood still, eyes wide, like the earth itself had whispered something just for him. "That thudding," he said. Like a heartbeat." Ethan froze. His breath caught halfway up his throat and didn't come down again. Marcy looked at him, confused. "You don't hear?" "Guys, I don't see anything." "Get out!" Ethan screamed, voice raw, scraping against the stone. He grabbed Marcy by the collar and shoved him back toward the tunnel they came from. "Get out, now!" "Ethan, what?" "Do you hear it?" Ethan was shaking him now, every nerve singing like fire along his spine. "Answer me, Marcy. You hear it, right? You feel it under your feet? It's in the stone?" Marcy nodded, wide-eyed, and Ethan turned to Andy, frantic. "You have to take him out of here, now. Please, it's awake. It knows we're here. Andy stepped forward, fist clenched. What are you talking about? What's it? You don't understand, Ethan gasped, backing up until his shoulders hit the cold wall. I know this thing. I felt it in my blood for months, and now, with the spellbook lost. He paused, not finishing a sentence. That heartbeat? That's not sound. That's not real. That's it reacting. Calling. Silence fell then. Not quiet. Worse than that. The kind that drained sound, crushed it, made it impossible for even a breath to echo. Then, deep within the dark of the tunnel ahead, the stone throbbed. A single pulse, like a heart. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Marty clutched his chest. It's inside me. No, it's not, Ethan snapped, pulling him closer. It's around you. It's crawling through the stone and breathing through me. I know what it wants. It wants me. Everyone went quiet. Eventually, Marcy backed away in shock. Ethan, what is that? What do you feel? Ethan's voice cracked, raw with panic. It's me. It's because of me. It's awake because I'm here. Taylor stepped between him and the darkness, blade out, ready. Then we fight it. No, Ethan gasped, grabbing their wrist. You don't understand. You can't fight it. You fight it, it feeds. You run, it follows. You stay. His voice dropped. You stay, and it becomes you. Taylor stared at him for a long, hard second. So what do we do? I don't know, Ethan admitted, eyes wide and wet. I've never made it this far without the book. Then we improvise, Taylor said, voice flat but not unkind. We've done worse. And his voice cut through the air like a blade. No, we fall back. We get Ethan out first. But what if it follows? Mossy asked, gripping the straps of his pack. What if it's already in him? No one answered. No one answered. Because they were all thinking the same thing. What if it was? And what if it's too late? Andy had their blade drawn now, but they weren't looking at the tunnel. They were watching Ethan. You've heard this part. I've lived in it, Ethan whispered. The heartbeat thrummed again, and this time the torch flickered. Not from wind, but... Guys, shut up! The heartbeat thrummed again, and this time the torches flickered. Not from wind, but from something beneath them, shifting, like a sleeper rolling in their bed. Jessica stepped forward, voice trembling, terrified of seeing what it can do. We need to go, now. Ethan nodded, dazed, sweat streaking down his temples. It's not just a place anymore. It's a thing that remembers me. It wants me back. Andy moved to his side. We don't let it take you. And we don't let it take you. Ethan's gaze didn't leave the tunnel. You don't fucking understand. It already has part of me. Eventually, the group got out of the cave, traveling around seeking for a spot to camp at. By nightfall, Andy's hilt had started to burn, then corrode, then whisper. It said his name, Ethan. He tried not to look at Andy's sword now, slung across their back as they stood at the edge of a collapsed tunnel. The flicker of torchlight caught the cracks in the blade, something oily shimmering between the steel. They were arguing again, maps this time, directions, something stupid. But eventually the group set up camp. Ethan couldn't focus. His vision blurred, his heartbeat stuttered out of rhythm. The infection writhed just behind his eyes, worms beneath glass, and it hurt. Gods, it hurt. Like something inside him was trying to take over and make a home out of the ruin of him. He couldn't hold it anymore. I think I'm killing you, Ethan said. His voice barely reached over the torch's crackle. Andy turned, slowly, frowning. What? I think... His legs gave out. He caught himself on the cave wall, gasping. I think it spreads through touch or breath. I don't know, but you're gonna get sick too, sooner or later. Andy just stared, stunned. You. What? I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to leave, Ethan choked, voice splitting. But now I think I might die, and you're still here, and that's worse. I didn't want to hurt you. And he crossed the space in 2 strides, grabbing him by the shoulders. Too rough, too fast, grounding. Hey, hey, you're not dying on me. You don't care, remember? Ethan laughed, sharp and broken, full of salt. You made that very clear. And his face twisted. I don't. They knew the lad. They just didn't want themselves, or even Ethan, to realize the truth. Then let me go. I'm not leaving you in a forest to rot. You should. And he shook him once more. Hard. You stupid, dramatic piece of. The cave walls bled dark light. The cave walls bled dark light that was even visible in the forest. That was the first sign. Ethan knelt near the narrow crevice, hand outstretched over his blade. The steel hissed, a low vibration that hummed through his bones like something alive, something hungry. He flinched and pulled back, breath fogging in the cold air. Andy stood behind him, torchlight flickering in their narrowed eyes. What was that? I don't. Ethan's voice caught. It's not the cave. I thought it was Grumwick. I thought. You thought what exactly? Andy asked. They took a slow step forward, watching him like a wild animal that might bolt. Or bat. That the town was cursed, Ethan muttered, sitting back against the wall. Maybe all the rot was coming from there. But it's not only that. It spreads. This is too far out. This is me. It's the town. It spreads. But it's also me. Andy went still. Ethan closed his eyes and felt the tremor run through him. A cold had settled in his chest days ago and hadn't left since. It coiled behind his ribs, choked his lungs, burned behind his eyes. I think he swallowed hard. I think I'm making things sick just by being near them. And he didn't say anything. The silence scraped. I lost the spellbook, Ethan said suddenly. A week ago. It just vanished. I passed out in that canyon, and when I came to, it was gone. And I didn't even realize how much it was doing until I couldn't breathe without it anymore. He let his head fall back against the rock near the campfire. I was born broken. That book was the only thing keeping me alive. And his voice was soft. Why didn't you tell anyone? I didn't want you to see me like this. Ethan laughed bitter. Not weak, not like a ticking bomb. You already flinch when I get mad. I flinch because you scare me now, Andy said, too calm. Good, Ethan said, sharper. Maybe that means you'll finally stop pretending you don't care. Andy stepped forward. Don't twist this into me being the problem. You always think I'm doing that, Ethan snapped. Maybe it's just that you hate watching me fall apart. Andy crouched next to him. Of course I hate it. You think this is easy? Then why are you still here? Andy didn't answer at first, just looked at him with something unreadable in their expression. Then, because every time you fall, I keep catching you. Ethan's breath hitched. The torchlight carved shadows over Andy's cheekbones, over the scowl they wore like armor. They were beautiful in a way that felt impossible. Sharp edges, scarred hands, and a voice that could cut glass. Ethan hated that he noticed. Gods, he fucking hated it. You know it's contagious now, right? He murmured. And his jaw ticked. What? The corruption, Ethan said. I touched one of the cave worms earlier. I felt it. Not like usual. I didn't use magic, but it still died. Annie's face didn't change, but Ethan saw it in their eyes. The flicker of fear. Not for themselves. For him. Magic isn't real, they muttered. You should go. No. Serious, Ethan hissed. I'm dangerous now. I'm rotting from the inside and it's spreading. I said no, Andy snapped. You think I care if I get infected? You should, Ethan said, voice cracking. You should care. I don't want to be the reason you fall apart too. Andy said, then don't be. Oh, great, Ethan said, coughing, dragging himself to his feet with effort. Just stop being a fucking living disease. Thanks, that'll fix everything. Don't twist this either, Andy said. I'm not staying because I think you're okay. I'm staying because I know you're not. That sent him into silence. They didn't speak much on the way back. The boat rocked low in the water, creaking like old bones, and Ethan sat hunched in the stern, wrapped in Andy's coat. His eyes were half-lidded, his skin grey in the lantern light. Every now and then he'd cough, a wet, shuddering sound that made Andy grip the oar tighter. Mossy and Eska had gone ahead with the others, trailing west towards the hills. It was safer that way, less risk of the corruption clinging to anyone else. Less risk of Ethan clinging to anyone else. The water was quiet. The fog thickened. Andy kept glancing at him. Every time Ethan swayed, they reached out without thinking. A hand to the shoulder, the back of his neck, steadying him before he could slump too far. Ethan didn't thank them. He didn't say much at all. Just kept his hand curled tight over his ribs, like he was trying to hold something inside. By the time they reached Gardale shore, the lanterns along the docks were guttering low. The forest beyond the river stood silent, the trees too still, like they were listening. Andy didn't ask if Ethan could walk. They just looped his arm over their shoulders and let him lean into them without a word. He stumbled more than once on the path, nearly dragging them both into the dirt. Still, Andy didn't let go. Not even when his full weight pressed into them. Not even when he mumbled things that didn't make sense. Half dreams, half apologies. The cabin wasn't far, just past the rise of the trees and the statue, tucked in a low clearing with moss eating the roof tiles and ivy curling in the leaves. Familiar, solitary, safe, if only barely. Andy kicked the door open with a grunt and guided Ethan inside. The fire was dead. They set him down on the old couch, the one with the uneven legs and faded cushions, and wrapped a blanket around his trembling shoulders. His eyes fluttered open, glassy and dull. You're back, he rasped. Andy arched a brow. You're back. A faint smile tugged at Ethan's mouth. Thought I was dreaming. Andy crouched beside him, already rummaging through the drawer beneath the hearth for clean cloth and the little glass vials Jessica had packed them with. You wish this was a dream. I'd probably be nicer. Maybe. Andy shook their head and muttered, stupid. But their hands were gentle, their breath quiet, the voice steadier than they felt. Outside, the woods creaked. The storm that had chased them from the cave still growled in the distance, far-off thunder rumbling like the sound of something hungry. Inside, the infection curled tighter in Ethan's chest. But for now, just for now, it didn't spread. Because Andy was there. Because the forest remembered its own. Because even corruption, ancient and reaching, still didn't know how to wrest someone from the grip of love that refused to name itself. Stubborn, fierce, and unrelenting as wildfire. Andy ran a hand through their hair and turned away. God, I hate how easy it is to take care of you. Ethan blinked. What? Andy didn't look at him. I should be mad. I am mad. You lie. You disappear. You break everything you touch. But I still... They broke off, teeth clenched. I still put you out of the fire every time. I still pull you out of the fire every time. Ethan stepped closer. That sounds a lot like love. Andy turned. Their expression was flat. Don't say that. Why not? Ethan asked, tired, bitter. Scared you'll mean it? Scared you won't, Andy said. Ethan opened his mouth, closed it again. The cold in his chest tightened, like something coiling, whispering. It was louder tonight. I'm tired, he finally said. Andy's voice softened, but didn't lose its bite. Then stop trying to fight me like I'm the enemy. I'm scared of what I'll do to you. I'm scared too, but I'm still here. I don't want to hurt you. Then let me stay. The silence after that was loud. Ethan crumpled slowly to the ground, breath rattling, skin pale and damp with sweat. Andy was at his side in seconds, cursing under their breath, unwrapping a scarf to press against his neck, their hand steady even though their eyes weren't. Why the hell did you fall off the couch? He tried to be mad, but instead just sighed. Ethan leaned into the touch weakly. I don't deserve this. Andy muttered. No, you don't. But they didn't move away. And Ethan closed his eyes and thought, maybe that's the most honest kind of love there is. Later, as the fever rose and the whispers grew louder in the cave, Ethan gripped Andy's wrist with shaking fingers and rasped. If I lose control, I'll stop you, Andy said. And if you can't, Andy hesitated, then quietly, then I'll go down with you. Ethan laughed, hoarse and broken. God, you're so stupid. Yeah, Andy said, and you're a mess. But they didn't let go. Even when the darkness coiled tighter, even when Ethan's body trembled and the magic hummed under the skin like a storm waiting to break, Andy stayed. And Ethan, for the first time in days, stopped trying to run. Ethan's head dropped forward, his knees buckled. Say it. Andy caught him, hissed. Say what? Say you care, Ethan muttered. Say you hate that you care. And he froze. For a moment, they looked like they were going to shove him away, or scream, or crack in half. Instead, they exhaled, sharp and slow. I hate how easy I take care of you. Ethan gave the faintest, blood-slick smile. I knew it. Shut up, Andy muttered, lowering him gently to the couch in the cabin again after picking him up. Let me work. I'll make you sick. Too late for that, idiot. Andy pressed a damp cloth to his forehead, hand trembling as it brushed sweaty curls from his skin. The touch was careful, delicate, affectionate, like they were afraid of touching too hard and breaking something that was already breaking on its own. Ethan shut his eyes. The cloth was cool, their fingers were warm, and he hated how good it felt, hated how much he wanted to lean into it. You're gonna stay? He asked, voice fraying. I'm gonna watch you, Andy said, quiet. Doesn't mean I forgive you. That's okay. Stop flirting while you're half dead. Can't help it, Ethan murmured. You're hot when you're furious. Andy let out a breath that might have been a laugh, or a sigh, or a scream. You're insufferable. I'm dying. Not allowed. You're gonna stop it? Andy didn't answer right away, just looked down at him, pale, fevered, still trying to be clever, even as his breath came shallow and raw. There was something in their expression that cracked them, something that softened so gently it almost hurt. Yeah, they said softly. I'll stop it. They didn't know how, but they'd try, even if it killed them too. Ethan passed out, to the feeling of Andy's hand on his chest, palms laid over his sternum like a warding sigil. Steady, insistent, not healing, not magical, just present, warm, human. Their fingers curled slightly, like they were holding him together by force of will alone. Each heartbeat was fragile, uneven, stuttering like a failing lantern in the wind, But Andy counted them anyway, lips moving in silence, eyes locked on the rise and fall of his chest. 1, 2, miss, 3, 4. Like they were daring it to keep going, like they were telling his body, "Don't you dare stop." Ethan's breath hitched once, a faint sound, almost like a laugh or a sob, and then he went still. Not gone, just gone under. Andy didn't move for a long time. The torch had burned low, casting the cabin in long, shivering shadows. Water dripped from somewhere above, slow and cruel, each drop echoing like the tick of a clock running out. The stone beneath them was slick and cold, and Andy's knees ached, but they stayed right there, kneeling beside him, hand unmoving over his chest, guarding the soft flutter of life like it was something sacred. They didn't cry, but they were close. "Idiot," they whispered, not for the first time. Their voice cracked like old wood. "You never shut up. Don't you dare start now." There was no answer, just breath, just heartbeats, barely. And deep in the cave, something stirred. A ripple in the dark, a movement, not quite sound, not quite shadow, just a presence, ancient and watching. The infection pulsed faintly in Ethan's veins, black tendrils twitching like it felt the thing watching back. It should have reached for him. It had before, in smaller ways, in whispers, in heat, in ruin. But this time, it didn't, because something else was holding on tighter. Not with magic, not with wards or power or strength, but with stubbornness, with care, and he refused to admit, with hands that had fought wars and gutted monsters, now shaking because they didn't know how to save him. Andy leaned down, forehead pressing lightly to Ethan's. It was too warm, burning even, and Ethan didn't stir. "I'm not letting you go," they murmured, almost like a secret. "You hear me? Even if you rot from the inside out, even if you take me with you." Their eyes still closed. They stayed there, like that, tethered, forehead to forehead, hand to heart, breath to breath, until the shadows around them grew still again, until the dark receded, just a little, because it was used to hunger, to fear, to desperation. But this was something else, and for once, even the dark didn't know how to fight love. Oh, that's cute. Like, dramatic. That was fun. That was actually really cool, though. Like, very somber, I think is the right word for that. I have no clue. There are notes. There is. The story is based on a theory me and Paper Lids, I think, made. There's a comment. Lids. Also, to the comments on Lids edits, they helped so much of the theory. Be sure to check them out. They made edits about this too, and of course, everyone who worked / is part of the p4persmp. Okay, so the theory that this is all based on. Theory. In the shadow-choked vale of Algren, where mist clings low to the roots and the winds whisper secrets long buried, there once stood a tree whose branches stretched like bony arms towards the heavens. Grimwick's heart, they called it. In days now buried beneath ash and betrayal, the tree drank from the wells of sorrow. The citizens of Grimwick, desperate and broken, came to it with memories too dark to keep, whispering their pain to its bark, offering their grief like prayers. But it was not the tree alone that bore this burden. It was her, Mom of house carpenter, the betrayer, Andy's mother. Once a woman of simple means and a heart full of envy, she left her kin in secret and went to the hated family of Ethan, a line steeped in forbidden magic, flame-touched and moon-born, loathed by all who feared what they did not understand. From them she learned the craft, twisting runes, soul-bounding, memory-eating spells, and twisted it to her will. When Ethan's dad spurred her advances, her bitterness festered, and so she struck at the root. She wiped the boy's memory clean, Ethan, whose heart once danced in rhythm with her child Andy's. The screams of the boy echoed through Grimwick, buried beneath soil, locked beneath bark. Andy's mom grinned as the spell sealed shut the past. She did not stop there, fearing her own children might rise against her. Andy and their sister, Rachel. She turned her foul art upon them. Their memories of Ethan, their knowledge of magic, the love Andy once held like fire within their chest, gone, save for flickering glimpses, half-formed visions, dreams they dared not speak aloud. Andy remembers Ethan only as a shadow cloaked in pain and flame, a rival, a threat, not the boy they once nearly loved. Thus bloomed the war, steel against spell. Eldwin burned with mistrust. The non-magic houses rallied. The name of Ethan's family spat like a venom. The vanguard fractured. Friends scattered. None knew the truth, that the corruption had already begun to rot from the inside. For beneath the heart tree a book now lay, leather-bound and inked in madness. It fed on the sorrow placed into the tree over centuries. And Andy's mom? She was its keeper. She whispered to it. She fed it. Every memory stolen, every betrayal sealed within its pages. Years passed. Ethan grew, shadowed by enemies whose reasons he could not name. All he knew was that the name of his family drew daggers, even from those who once fought beside him. He wandered, wielding magic he barely remembered learning, hearing tales of his family's sins, yet never questioning why his heart ached when he looked toward Grimmick's dying branches. And he returned home from distant roads, guided by a letter from his sister lost to time. Rachel, too, sought answers buried in ash, but the truth was fractured, and their mother's grip lingered like a rot in the rafters of their minds. Mossy, curious and strange, wandered too close to the tree. Something ancient stirred beneath. The book called to him. He peered within, only a moment, but the memories, not his own, bled into his eyes. Suffering, war, a scream, a grin. Now, fears Grimmick, as men fear death itself. And yet the pool remains. The corruption once held beneath roots now seeps into the stones and streets of the city. Magic is no longer a gift, it is a curse that speaks. Ethan and Andy, once almost lovers, now stand as rivals with blades drawn and eyes half blind. Each wonders, why does the other feel so familiar? Why does pain bloom where hatred should be? Only the book beneath the tree holds the truth. Only by facing the past, together, can they hope to show what stirs beneath Grimwick's dying heart. But the tree is watching, and Annie's mom waits in the shadows. This is a theory, not the real story. This isn't in real life. It's an SMP. All the characters are fictional. Oh, there's another two. Okay, so they said also be sure to check my full fic and my other two one-shots out. This is not a next thing on it. This is just based on the paper SMP and theory, not the fic. This is cool. Why is this so long? Okay, admittedly, I know 5,000 words is roughly half an hour. What do you mean we're about to hit 50 minutes? Anyway, my voice is dead. I don't have any water upstairs, and I killed all my mussels. Oh, this will be fun. Okay, this will be fun. Specifically the stories. I'm probably gonna go find their other one shot. Is it the same pen? Oh, I should probably give you guys a heads up. This is paper SMP because I love throwing in random fandoms into this because it's me. I'm obviously still gonna keep going with the Son of Seafoam. Just thought I'd do a cute little one shot that wasn't meant to take almost 50 minutes. But anyway, it did because of course it did. I need to get water. But oh my god. Okay, so you know what I did? Because of course I did. Wednesday, I did high rocks. That was super fun. Killed me. Genuinely killed me. And since then, my muscles have been horrendous. Like, I can't walk or stand up or sit down or anything without feeling so much pain because I was dumb and didn't stretch. Yeah, woo. Thursday, DCU trip. awesome, except I walked like so much. I like reached 10,000 steps. Not that much, but for the fact that my muscles were dead from high rocks, it's great. And then today was sports day. You want to know what I did? I still participated in different things. Admittedly, I didn't do like long jump or anything, but I did like what was it, javelin and shot put. And I did the 100-meter race because of course I did. And then at the end of it, we had a 5K at color run, and it was mandatory. Like the colors were at the very end, so it just like everyone walked all around the 5K, and then you got colors from it. You or not. That was actually really fun. But yeah, I don't think I'll be able to walk tomorrow. But hey, good news for you guys. You get videos if I can't walk. Ooh, not if I can't get water. Oh, I need to get water. This downstairs. Wish me luck. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this story. Oh, I didn't tell you about Paper SMP. Paper SMP is a Minecraft roleplay server run by Paperback, Ethan. Uh, this specifically followed the specific one shot followed Ethan and Andy, which are super fun. If you guys check them out, 100% recommend. They're on Twitch, so like they're doing the lives and all that. I could not tell you everyone who's on that SMP because there's like a whole bunch of new people joining, and then I do not know everyone. But anyway, super fun. Cost? Yeah, the people are super fun. I do know Andy is already uploading their videos on YouTube, like edited versions. They've got like the first 2 episodes out, I think. Anyway, definitely go from there because it's not just these two, but I'm mainly following just these two because for time I'm in too many fandoms. I'm talking too much. But oh well. If you guys are interested, definitely go check it out. If not, that's perfectly fine. What I don't know how links work fully. I could try and put a link in the description. I'm not gonna do that. It's on Twitch. Literally search up. Ooh, probably should tell you who does it. Okay, paperback, but it's like P4 paperback. Um, so basically paperback, but the first A is a 4. Or what about Andy on Twitch? Those are the two in here anyway. Anyway, good luck. Have fun. Search your paper SMP. Genuinely super fun. I'm having fun anyway. But again, the first A is a 4 because why not? I guess. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you stuck around to the end of this, I'd be surprised because I'm just muttering about random things at this point. Anyway, bye.